We are back to catch you up on the roller coaster first 5 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. Since the show has undergone more changes than the Cleveland Browns coaching staff, do not worry about the details, just enjoy the ride so you can properly understand Season 6. I'm Woody Tondorf, counting down the seconds until Troy gets hit with a hammer, and this is the Skybound Rundown. Fear opens in Los Angeles with drug addict teen Nick Clark waking up to see his girlfriend eating someone's face. Nick bails and immediately gets rammed by a car. Cut to the hospital where he's visited by his family, his sister Alicia, his mom Madison, and his mom's boyfriend Travis Manawa. Travis also has an ex-wife Liza and a moody son Chris, but do not worry about the names, only Alicia survives.
Okay.
When the apocalypse hits, riots break out, people get eaten, and we get to see what 2021 looks like if everybody stays on Facebook. The gang reunites in the city where they meet a barber named Daniel Salazar, who has a wife Griselda and daughter Ophelia. They all escape back home just in time for the military to arrive and round half of them up. You should know in advance, splitting up is like the theme of the show. Daniel, who's actually a highly trained Salvadoran war veteran, tortures a soldier to get intel while Nick befriends a suave-looking guy named Victor Strand, who promises to break them out. He does, with the help of Sweeney Daniel, who uses a walker horde to try and get his wife out. Unfortunately, she dies in the process, but Nick befriended a guy with a yacht, so pretty sure that evens out. Liza gets bit, and Travis puts her down for good. Boat trip! On the boat, Alicia falls for this dude on the radio named Jack, who is a pirate, but not the cool kind with like a fun, sexy drinking problem. After some shenanigans and kidnappings, the gang defeats the pirate crew by trading them a dead Jesse McCartney. The gang lands in Mexico to find Strand's ex-lover Thomas at a plantation run by the Spanish, evil version of Herschel, Celia, who convinces Nick the dead aren't all that bad. After Chris seemingly tries to kill Madison and Alicia in their sleep, he's forced to be exiled with Travis. Daniel then catches on to Celia's evil ways and burns the place to the ground with him inside. The gang leaves, but Nick decides to walk with the dead. It's fine. Nick, not Bear Grylls Clark, is miraculously rescued from the wild by Luciana, a resident of a nearby colony with a doctor who claims he's immune to the walkers. He is not. Strand and the gang find shelter in a hotel run by its jaded staff while Travis leaves Chris to live with his new frat buddies. Sadly, these guys kill Chris after a gruesome car accident and they end up at the same hotel where Strand, Madison, Alicia, and somehow Travis are all staying. Once Travis discovers the truth about his son, he rage murders the frat guys, forcing the staff to make them leave. Except for Strand, because this show is allergic to keeping everyone together. On their mission to find Nick, Madison and the gang get captured at the border by the US military. At the army base, Alicia and Madison spoon stab this military brat named Troy Otto and escape with the soldiers. Sadly, Travis gets shot in a helicopter and falls to his death, and into Hobbs and Shaw. The gang eventually reunites at Troy's family ranch, which is run by his doomsday prepper father Jeremiah, who has literal skeletons in his closet. Meanwhile, Strand gets locked up in a dam by his old friend Dante, but is eventually broken out by Daniel, who survived. You look good! Daniel kills Dante and leaves Strand for dead after he found out he was lying about his daughter's whereabouts. Elsewhere, Madison gets surrounded by a Native American group led by a righteous quote-unquote villain named Taka, who just wants his fucking land back. After some camp burning and family murdering, the gang finds out Taka has Ophelia, so Madison and Alicia make a non-Jesse McCartney related trade to get her back. Ophelia repays them by poisoning half the ranchers with anthrax, because it turns out Jeremiah killed one of Taka's ancestors. Nick is forced to kill the head Jeremiah to finally make peace with the tribe. Walker's people move into the ranch, which goes to shit faster than the first 2020 presidential debate.
You know what? Wait, not.
Stop. Troy gets exiled while Madison and Walker go to a bazaar to trade gold for water and upgrade their weapons. It's where they run into Strand, who's naturally in deep shit with a group called the Proctors. Madison uses the gold to bail him out, and Strand takes them to the dam to get their water. Troy, who was just exiled, uses a grenade launcher to lead a horde of walkers to the ranch. A lot of people die, and Ophelia gets bit. Madison rushes her to Daniel before she turns, but she dies just when they get there. They then head to the dam to plant explosives to foil the Proctors. It's then Nick tells Madison about Troy getting half the village killed. Madison checks her bag for fucks and realizes she's out, but she does have this hammer, so... I literally watched the birth of my own son since last year's recap, and this moment is like neck and neck for most personal joy. Anywho, Strand shoots Daniel in the face, and the gang survives the Proctor attack thanks to Taka pulling a Steve Buscemi from Billy Madison.
Man, I'm glad I called that guy.
Nick detonates the dam, leaving everyone but Madison's fate up in the air. The new showrunners thankfully keep all our characters intact, but not before introducing some new ones. We jump ahead a few years to Morgan, who is joining the cast like David Beckham in the LA Galaxy, which is to say it was a fun idea, he looks good doing it, but I wouldn't say he elevates the whole league. Anyways, Morgan does meet a kind-hearted cowboy named John Dory, who's just looking for his lover Laura.
I've been looking for her for some time.
The two of them get rescued from baddies by Althea, a SWAT truck driving former journalist who collects people's stories on her tapes.
I like new people.
On the road, they run into Alicia and the gang. But where is Madison? Flashbacks. After the dam explosion, the gang reunited at a baseball stadium in Texas, where they took in other survivors like this girl Charlie, who sucks, and Nurse Naomi. Enter new bad guy Mel, who looks like you put Negan and Dave Franco into one of those face blender things. Anyways, he's a bad guy, so he wants everybody's shit, and he would like it now. Thank you very much. Turns out Charlie is working for Mel, who's not as much of a monster as his brother Enos, who unleashes a damn horde into the stadium. Madison, the Rick Grimes of the show, sacrifices herself to save the others. The new showrunners waste no time killing off their main character.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
In the present, Nick murders Enos for getting his mom killed, but Charlie shows up and kills Nick in retaliation. That's right, 2 main characters in like 3 episodes. Okay, well, everyone who's still alive, feel free to drive away to safety. Not so fast, Mel. Alicia and the gang blow Mel up just in time for Naomi to reveal she's the Laura John was looking for, but her real name's June. Morgan decides they should all head to Alexandria, but Hurricane Ex Machina has other plans. The gang gets split up by the storm, and Morgan accidentally ends up in Mississippi, where he meets some charming truckers named Sarah and Wendell, who he convinces to help him find his friends. Meanwhile, Alicia and Charlie bond after barely surviving a flooded house while Strand and John get marooned on an alligator-guarded island. Fear is great. On the road, Morgan runs into a lady named Martha, who later steals Al's SWAT truck to fuck with mile markers and keep walkers as pets. Everybody eventually reunites just in time for Martha to poison them with antifreeze. They cure it by chugging beer, and Morgan kills her once and for all. So can we go to Alexandria?
We're not going there.
Screaming internally. The gang crashes a fucking plane to locate a stranger they met on the radio named Logan. In the wreckage, they encounter a group of orphan kids. They soon realize Logan sent them on a wild goose chase so he could take their mill. Meanwhile, Strand finds Daniel on one of Al's tapes. Turns out he survived the dam and is probably one of the old guard and is living in a plane factory with his cat named Skidmark. Morgan and Alicia meet a nice scientist named Grace, while John takes June to a Western-themed tourist town. It's there they encounter Dwight, who is now on the show. John Wick Dory saves him by splitting a bullet on this axe and agrees to help him find Sherry. Althea gets captured by a woman named Isabel, who's part of the CRM community that flew Rick and our hearts away from the main show. After a day of rock climbing and smooching, Al helps her get the fuel needed to bounce. Strand and Charlie catch up with Alicia and Morgan by flying a beer bottle hot air balloon. Of course, they land in a radioactive area, and later, Alicia gets radioactive walker blood in her mouth while trying to save the kid's treehouse. Thankfully, Alicia lives in a video game where a quick shower removes all status effects, and she's now totally fine. The gang reunites in a plane literally built by children, and miraculously, do not crash. Logan greets them and warns they need to help him find oil or else. Morgan and the crew go all in on saving people and amass a caravan with bigger numbers than the Colt from The Vow. NXIV, I don't have time. Anyway, the gang spends most of this time split up going on pointless missions, but at least they find their father Gabriel, Rabbi Kessler. They eventually have a big showdown with Logan in the oil field, which goes to shit faster than the Indiana Jones episode of Lovecraft Country. Specifically, Logan and his people get gunned down by the bigger and better villain Virginia, who agrees to let them go in exchange for Luciana. So what's a caravan to do with no home? Luckily, John knows of another Western theme park miles away. They planes, trains, and automobiles their way there, minus all of those vehicles, just to find it overrun. Morgan radios Ginny for help, John and June get married, and Ginny arrives just in time to round them all up. But not in a fun cowboy way. With everybody gone, Virginia shoots Morgan in the chest and bounces. But as we mentioned in the 5B recap, Morgan is somehow fine because his plot armor is thicker than the grease in Daryl's hair. And that wraps up the first 5 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. Did you follow any of that? Does anything matter? I mean, season 6 looks fun, right? Look, if you want more context, check out our full season breakdowns. Also, like and subscribe to Skybound, and check out our podcast, Talk Dead to Me. I'm Woody Tondorf. I will riot if they don't bring Troy back in season 6 just to kill him again, and we'll see you next time.